Prior to considering the next motion, can I take the opportunity to remind everyone present at the meeting, as I did at the last meeting in September, that one of the things that I am most proud about the mayor is the diverse nature of the borough and peaceful relationship that exists between our many different communities, enabling them to live side by side in peace and harmony. As a mayor, I remain focused on continuing to encourage and foster strong community cohesion, on which I am grateful for your continued support, and hope that all present will remember this in the way they conduct themselves during the consideration of this item. Can I now invite Councillor Afzal to move...
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Point of order. Because I agree with every word you've just said about this borough and about the diversity and about the nature of our borough and how many people from all parts of the country live in our borough and how much we as councillors, as an institution, respect everyone and where everyone is from. So in response to what you've just said about that, I think it's really important that the proposer of the motion and also the person who has moved an amendment to the motion withdraw the motion entirely. It is a divisive issue that I do not believe we need to discuss at Brent Council.
Can I respond on the point of order? The motion isn't out of order in accordance with the legal requirements or the constitutional requirements, and on that basis it's free to remain on the agenda. Obviously it's up to members whether they wish to proceed with it. At the moment, of course, bear in mind that at the moment with the motion is simply asking for a report back, and that report will look in detail, consider in detail the Council's overall approach to twinning, and would also include an equality impact assessment.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question then?
Point of order?
Yes, point of order. It is unusual to have a statement from the Mayor prior to a motion being debated. Why was it necessary, and what advice did the officers give to the Mayor that he needed to make a statement in relation to this specific motion? He made no such statement for the previous two motions, which could be equally divisive between rich and poor residents, for example, in relation to the Conservative motion, and those in favour of tobacco, chewing tobacco, and those
So this
against.
is not a point of order.
I know it's not, but the advice that you give seems very strange and unbalanced.
Can I now invite Councillor Afzal to move the first motion submitted by Labour Group? Councillor Afzal, you have up to 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the patience, everyone, after that interruption. It's an honour, really, to propose this motion in full council tonight, to twin Brent with Nablus. It's an honour and a privilege because this motion speaks to who we are and what we stand for. We are a compassionate borough, a borough of principles, morals, values and ethics. A borough that stands on the side of justice, at home and abroad, a diverse and cooperative borough. It's a borough we, here, gave Nelson Mandela the freedom of this borough. And it was Nelson Mandela who said that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. And it's this motion that was resoundingly endorsed by our Brent Labour group in this borough, because it speaks to who we are. This motion calls for twinning. Twinning now is a fantastic opportunity for us to lay out what we are about and what we stand for. We stand for justice, we stand in solidarity with the dispossessed and the marginalised. But it's also to share knowledge, experience, skills, culture, and to grow through that sharing and collaboration. Palestinians from Nablus and elsewhere have endured so much, some who have lived through a brutal military occupation for their whole lives. That strength, their courage that they have, their resilience that they have, is things that we can learn from. Learn their histories, learn their stories, learn their daily struggles. And in return, we in Brent, we present our Brent story across through to them, how we got to where we are. So working with the authorities in Nablus,
Councillor.
Sure. Working with the authorities in Nablus, with schools, with the young people, with other organisations and charities, in the spirit of collaboration and cohesion for mutual benefit and unity and in solidarity, I propose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. As members will have seen, the following its circulation with the agenda notice has also been received, an amendment on the motion for debate. Can I therefore invite Councillor Maurice to move the amendment on behalf of the Conservative Group? You have up to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I first of all congratulate Councillor Hack on being appointed as our Deputy Mayor. May I also thank Mr. Mayor for his kind words of wisdom before this motion. Brent notes that we do have a twinning arrangement with South Dublin, but we also have a very rich, diverse and multicultural community, including Christians, Catholics, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Jains and Sikhs, amongst others, living in our borough, and that, like Brent, Israel also has some of the oldest cities in the world and has a long and rich history of culture, diversity and dynamism, ranging from the historical architecture. It has a very lively economy and a very youthful population. That a growing number of community and charitable organisations have developed ties and relationships with Israel, which include Jews, Arabs, Bedouins and Christians alike. And that this council should provide an opportunity for all the young people in Brent, who, whatever religion, whatever creed they are, to visit and work with Israelis, Arabs, including Palestinians and Jews, in order to develop a path to lasting peace in the world. At Ramla could be considered as a suitable town in Israel to twin with. Now, I did look at this some time ago, but I didn't put it to council. Ramla is the ancient roads, is in the cross-section of the ancient roads between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and from Damascus and Cairo. It has
20 seconds, Councillor.
It has a population of mixed Jews and Arabs, about 50-50, I believe, and that the twinning establishment of a Brent-Tamla twinning project organisation could provide a good opportunity to explore that sort of arrangement, and that the community...
Time up, Councillor.
Right. Sorry, hang on. Twinning... Israel, the Council resolves to consider its formal twinning arrangements between Brent and a city or town in Israel which has a mixture of Arab and Jewish citizens, and engage with the diverse communities living in Brent so that everyone can have a say in where we should consider twinning with.
Thank you.
Any engagements must be cross-party and in support with everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. I will now open up the debate, which will cover both of the original motion and the amendment, for contribution from other members. In order to manage the time available, could I ask any member wishing to speak on the motion or the amendment, if you could raise your hand now so I can note your request and consider if there is adequate time for each of you to be heard within the time allocated. I will then call each of you in turn. Councillor Narwa.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I'd like to start off and also congratulate Councillor Ryan Hack on your appointment as Deputy Mayor, and we look forward to working with you now and in the future. I'd like to say that Brent, it's obvious, is a borough of diasporas. Many of us, if I look around here and think how many of us have a complete set of grandparents who were born in the UK. Very, very few, actually, to my knowledge. I don't. Our primary role in troubled times, therefore, is to promote and enable community cohesion. Yes, we can and do bring disparate communities together. That's why any twinning must be in the values of Brent's forward together approach. Twinning undertaken in a one-sided way, in an area of conflict where there are varying narratives, can do the exact opposite, create community discord inside Brent and inside London, the very opposite of why we, regardless of party, were elected as councillors. Given Brent's makeup, we no doubt could have twinned with numerous towns and cities, and we could probably have a flag waving every single week of the year. Perhaps it's because of that diversity that we've held back from twinning, ironically. If we are going to start twinning or creating friendship agreements, we need very clear policies, standards, and crucially, establish whether there are resources available.
20 seconds,
we are
Councillor.
in hard times. So, if we are going to have a motion, it shouldn't be about Ramla or Nablus, Israel or Palestine. It should be Brent working with Israel and Palestine. Both Nablus and Ramla have good reasons why we should twin with them. And we could actually offer an example of support, of working together with those two cities to create a viable two states in that region. Thank you very much.
Councillor Gral.
Thanks. Yeah, I welcome this motion. Back in March 2023, we welcomed a delegation of Palestinian school children to our borough. That was in conjunction with the PSC and with the charity CADFA. And we would embrace any opportunity to do the same again for the people of Nablus, potentially. It may seem that the events in the Middle East have little impact on the administration of our council, but the truth is that we support many looked after children, some of whom came here as unaccompanied asylum seekers, lots of them seeking refuge from areas of war and conflict, and that includes Afghanistan, Iraq and Syria, conflicts that our country has sadly played a role in. The UN Secretary-General said earlier this year that children continue to be disproportionately affected by the violence of war and conflict, and I want to pay tribute to the children of the Gaza Strip, many thousands of whom were killed and wounded, and over 1 million of whom suffer from mental ill health because of the effects of bombing. They face a shortage of medical supplies, of food, and now outbreaks of polio. Brent will always be a place of refuge for children who are the victims of war and conflict. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gral. Councillor Mitchell, we are running out of time. You have only 1 minute to speak. Thank you.
This historic twinning with a city of such cultural and geographical importance is an opportunity above all for us to learn. Let us learn from the residents of Nablus, from the communities and cultures they represent. Let us learn about stories, their culture, the heritage they've worked tirelessly to keep alive. Let us learn what it means to live in the midst of instability and uncertainty, of checkpoints and travel restrictions. Let us learn about how Nabulsi residents are building resilience to a changing natural world, from heat to extreme rainfall. Let us learn about the impacts that our policies and our choices here in Brent and in the UK have overseas. And let us learn just how interconnected we all really are. And let these learnings enrich Brent, build our resilience and further our resolve to understand and listen to each
15
other
seconds,
as we work for justice and equality for all.
Thank you, Councillor. We now reach the end of time allocated for this motion. Can I therefore ask Councillor Afzal if you wish to exercise the right to reply as the mover of the original motion? If so, you will have up to 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I'd first of all like to thank Councillor Gral and Councillor Mitchell for their contributions, but more widely thank the Labour group who have been involved throughout this process. But really more importantly, it's to thank the community. And the community are all here as well. This is a community-backed kind of initiative, so it has not just the democratic mandate of us as the local authority, the Labour administration, but it has the community kind of backing as well off the back of it. So this is a really, really important kind of motion. I mean, I'm not going to waste airtime on the opportunistic kind of amendment from the opposition, because we've got an important kind of job and role to play, and I would just like to continue with this process so we can start that relationship with Nablus well into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I now ask Councillor Maurice if you would also like to exercise your right to reply as a mover of the amendment to the original motion? If so, you also have up to 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I consider that the original motion is very divisive, one-sided. It does not take into account the diversity of this borough and the fact that I think the Hindu community is actually the biggest community in Brent. They are basically excluded from this. Have you ever asked Israeli children, Jewish children, to come to Brent? I bet you haven't. I therefore ask you to vote against the original motion and to vote for the amended version. Thank you.
Thank you. We now move on to vote on this item, starting with Conservative Group's amendment moved by Councillor Maurice. Can I therefore start by asking those members in favour of the amendment to raise their hands? Thank you. Can I now check if any member wish to vote against the amendment? If so, could you raise your hands now? Thank you. Thank you. Do any members wish to abstain from voting on the amendment? If so, could you raise your hands now? Thank you. I therefore declare the amendment to the motion lost. We now move straight on to the vote on the substantive motion as amended. As I therefore ask members in favour of the substantive motion to raise their hands. Thank you. Can I now check if any member wishes to vote against the substantive motion? If so, could you raise your hands now? Thank you. Do any member wish to abstain from voting on the substantive motion? If so, could you raise your hands now? Thank you. Thank you. I declare the substantive motion carried. Thank you.